Good morning. Good morning, my dear students. In the previous videos, we have talked about measures of in the chapter statistics that will be very much useful in machine learning. We have talked about measures of central tendency. In this particular tutorial video, we will discuss about measures of variability. In measures of variability, mostly the topics that I will cover in measures of variability, these are firstly, the topic of this tutorial video is measures of variability. In this, firstly, we will discuss about range. So you must be familiar with this term. This term is called range. So what is exactly range? The range of a variable equals, therefore, I will just note down the important points and please keep a note of this. It will become very handy for you when you do the revision part. It equals the difference between the maximum and minimum values. For example, if I say the range of an income is, suppose the max income is 48,000 rupees. Let's say the minimum income is 24,000 rupees. So range comes about 24,000 rupees. Right. So range is nothing but the difference between the maximum and the minimum values. So now range it reflects only the difference between the largest and the smallest observations. It doesn't reflect how the data is centralized. In the previous tutorial video, we have discussed about the measures of central tendency, where I have discussed about mean, median, mode. Mean, median, mode, these quantifiers exactly specify how the data is being centralized. But this particular attribute, that is range, it just equals the difference. It doesn't do any centralized versions of the data. The next thing that I will discuss is variance. So what is variance? Population variance is defined as the average of the squared differences from the mean, which is also denoted by x bar, or mu denoted as, and this particular variance is denoted as sigma square. Just keep this in mind. The variance is nothing but the average of the squared differences. Okay, the average of the square differences from the mean. How much deviation it is from the mean is described from the variances, the squares of that. As per the formula is, as you can see, sigma square is nothing but sigma x minus x bar, which is nothing but the deviation from the mean, ka square by n minus y, where n is nothing but the total number of observations. What does larger variance mean? Larger variance means, I will just maximize it so that it becomes very much comfortable for you guys. Larger variance means the data are more spread out. Please, my dear friends, keep this in mind, because larger variance always means the data is more spread out, and n is nothing but the number of observations. This difference occurs because the sample mean is used as an approximation of the true population mean. And what is sample variance? This is sample variance. This one is nothing but sample variance. This one. Okay. So now let's discuss another important attribute, that is standard deviation. Standard deviation, this term will come across most of the important concepts in machine learning when you will deal with classical statistics in machine learning. The standard deviation, which is also denoted by SD, is or SD denotes SD of a bunch of numbers tells you how much the individual numbers tend to differ from the mean. That's what standard deviation tells you. The sample standard deviation is nothing but the square root. Please keep this in mind. It's nothing but the square root of variance. So if somebody asks you what is the relation between variance and standard deviation, just tell that the square root of variance is nothing but standard deviation. Please keep this relation in mind. It will be very handy for you when you will do certain types of data analysis or certain types of numericals on standard deviations and variance in classical statistics. Okay, so I will just show you one curve, one interesting curve. These are three curves. One is shown in blue, one is shown in pink, and one is shown in orange. As you can see, the mean of these three curves coincide exactly, and the mean is 100. The standard deviation, however, differs. One standard deviation is 5, another is 10, another is 2. As you can see, the smaller the standard deviation, the narrower the peak. As you can see, the smaller the narrower deviation, the smaller the peak. The data points are closer to the mean. The further the data points are from the mean, the greater the standard deviation. I will just write it down so that it becomes very handy for you. Okay. The smaller the standard deviation, narrower the peak. The data points are closer to the mean. The further the data points are from the mean, the greater the standard deviation. Please keep this in mind. Now we will discuss about another important concept. We have just finished about measures of variability, so let's just jog your memories. We have discussed range, we have discussed variance, the standard deviation part, and that's it in the topic of measures of variability. Now we will discuss another important concept, that is measures of position. In a previous tutorial video, I have discussed about measures of central tendency. In this particular video, let's just discuss about measures of position too. First, measure of position. So what is measure of position? It indicates the relative position of a particular data value in the data distribution. Okay, so this is what it exactly means. So first important concept that we will discuss in this particular topic, that is measures of position, is percentile. You must be familiar with this term percentile, because when we appear for JEE, we appear for any other competitive exams, we get a relative percentile. Suppose a person gets 99.8 percentile or 90 percentile. What does this actually mean? So let's just figure it out. What percentile actually means? The pth percentile, the pth percentile of a data set is the data value such that p% of the values in the data set are at or below this value. Okay, for example, the 50th percentile, always remember this concept, that the 50th percentile is obviously, just do a guess, the 50th percentile is called, just guess, what will be the answer? It's called the median. Because what is median? As we have discussed in the earlier video, when we arranged when we arrange the data in an ascending or a descending order, the middle value is always termed as the median, and the 50th percentile therefore will also be, because percentile is nothing but the rank. Okay, it just discusses how much percent of the values in the data set are at or below this particular value. So exactly 50th percentile will be nothing but the median. So what is next topic that we will discuss is percentile rank. So what is exactly percentile rank? The percentile rank of a data value equals the percentage of values in the data set that are at or below that value. Okay, for example, let us say the percentile rank of applicant one's suppose income is of $38,000 is about say 90%. Since that is the percentage of income equal to or less than $38,000. So let's just explain it through a graph. Okay, this is, as you can say, this is nothing but a bell-shaped curve. This is the smallest value, this is the largest value, this is termed as the range, this is the median, which is nothing but the 50th percentile, this is the 25th percentile, which is also termed as first quartile and third quartile, etc. You will not be able to understand what is quartile at this point of time. In the next tutorial video, we will discuss in brief what is quartile, what is interquartile range, and stuff like that. Some interesting concepts coming down our way. So till then, just revise the concepts that we have discussed in this particular video. Just look into the net, get some idea about statistics and machine learning, and in the next tutorial video we will discuss about quartile ranges. So tab tak ke liye just have a great time, keep studying and enjoy your studies. Okay, chalo, goodbye.